Welcome back to Dungeons and Thrashers, and we will start our dungeon crawling by picking a tile, and which was a corridor right into a wall. Corridors let you move again instantaneously, so you can move back and move to the next chamber here, or this is actually a corridor. However, you can see the bottomless pit there. Fortunately, I'm playing a halfling thief, so I had an 80% chance of climbing the wall, and I did it. Getting into the next chamber here, I have to draw a dungeon card to see what happens. The dungeon card I drew was an empty room, which means that I can continue to the next chamber. However, there is a portcullis here that I have to raise before I can move on. My poor little halfling thief will have to make a strength roll, and the way I do this is that you have to roll a d20 and you have to roll under your value. So 20 is definitely a fail, so I have to spend some time, move the time tracker and try again. This time I made it. Can move into the next chamber and draw a new dungeon card. Oh no, my torch goes out, so I have to spend some time relighting the torch. This chamber here has a collapsed ceiling, so I will have to... First I'll have to draw a dungeon card, and that's the Curse of the Wizard, and then I have to roll and see what happens. I have to turn all the corridors 90-degree clockwise, and then I have to make an agility check, which is a dexterity check, in order to move to the next chamber, because I have to climb over all the debris. So I roll for my dexterity, I pass, I can move into the next chamber, and this chamber contains a passage down to the catacombs. Now, I may do the catacombs at a later date, because it's not really... it's a bit too heavy on the rules. Shuffle, I will not shuffle, I will draw another dungeon tile, and oh no, a trap. These are the most dangerous the most dangerous cards. And I get a ceiling collapse, which is not a bad one. Just rotate this chamber 90 degrees. Quite harmless. So I decide to ignore the passage down to the catacombs for now and keep moving on. And I come to a regular chamber here. So I draw a dungeon card and it's empty. So I keep going forwards, and this time I do come to a portcullis that I have to raise again, so I have to make another strength check, my poor halfling thief, and he makes it, and he comes to an empty room. And now I will have to reposition my camera. Okay, that's better. So I move on, I draw another dungeon tile, and it is a Chamber of Darkness. So this means that I come out in a random, I roll a die, I come out in a random place, and I come back to the same place, so I just move the time tracker and then I'll try again. Alright, I finally came out somewhere else. And it is a bridge chamber, so instead of testing my dexterity to climb over, I decided to climb the walls, which I do by rolling a percentile die. I have 80% chance, and I made it. And we pass the bridge and continue, and we come to a dead end, a chamber with a dead end, so I will try to search, see what we can find. Let me just move the camera here again, and move the board a little bit. Alright, so I decide to search here, so I put a search token there, just to remind myself that I have searched this area already, and then I draw a search card, and I find an unstable potion, which translates into a healing potion, which heals a d6 plus 1 in basic fantasy. So I'll write that down on my sheet. So unfortunately I will have to backtrack here, and remember to move the sun token one step every time you finish your turn. So every time you move once, you also move the sun token. So I'll have to backtrack and try to get over the bridge again. So I'll go back here and I roll for my climb wall skill, which I do have an 80%. I make it, I get into the Chamber of Darkness, and I have to roll a d6 to see where I come out. Come out in the same way. Now, if you were an elf or a dwarf, you wouldn't have to do this. You know, or maybe it's magical darkness. It's probably magical darkness because the torch doesn't help you. So, anyways, I roll again. See, I came out on that side, on the left side there, exactly where I wanted. So I pick another dungeon tile, and I get a chamber that has a passage down to the catacombs, and it also goes to the right, which is perfect. And I also have to draw a dungeon card, and it is a Razor Wing attack, which translates into a giant bat. So this is the first combat, guys. And first we roll for distance to see how far away the giant bat is, and it's a d10 times 10 feet, so 60 feet away he's coming at me. So then we roll initiative. I am blue. Okay, I go first, so since I have a short bow I get to fire at him once. So I roll my to hit, and I do have a +2 because I'm a halfling. So I do get a +1 on ranged weapons, so I have a +2 to hit. And I miss, unfortunately, because the giant bat has an AC of 14, so now it's his turn to try to attack me. And unfortunately he has a movement of 60, so he gets right up to me and he attacks and he hits. So I have 3 hit points in total, and I will take a d6 damage. Whew. I take 1 damage, so I'm still alive. I've got 2 hit points left. Remember, this is old school D&D. Oh my god, so I try to hit him. 11, 12. So that's another miss, unfortunately. So it's his turn again. I've switched to my short sword now, by the way. So it's his turn to try to hit me. And he misses. And then it's my turn. I now have my short sword handy, as I've said, and I hit. And my short sword will deal 1d6 damage. And as you can see, the giant bat only has 2 hit points. So with a d6 I should be able to take him out. And I roll a 6. So I slay the giant bat. I record the XP on my character sheet, and I go on with my adventure. Whew. So I decide to search this chamber. So I put a search token there just to notify that I have actually searched there. And then I draw a search card. And I find a very, very unexciting passage down, because I knew that already. There was already a passage down here, so who cares, right? So I move the sun token and I draw another dungeon tile, and it is another chamber. So I go in there and I draw another dungeon card to start with. And it's another ceiling collapse where you have to turn the chamber 90 degrees. Now obviously it makes absolutely no difference in this kind of chamber. So, but we'll keep pushing on, move the sun token, and keep going. And now that is another one of those round dead-end chambers. So I just move the camera here, but what I can do is I can try to search and try to find a secret door. But I found a trap instead, which is, you know, bad luck, but hey. That's the game. So it is a poisonous gas trap. Now this is very bad because poison in basic fantasy is extremely deadly. So basically what this is I will have to save versus poison or die. That's it. But we're gonna do that in the next episode, yes, there will be a third episode.